Well, we have an article from Games Industry Biz by Marie Delisandri.
Hmm.
Vice shutting down Waypoint. Vice is shutting down its game publication Waypoint. The news came via Twitter from senior writer Patrick Klepek. Quote, the team, myself included, have been terminated by Vice, and our final day running the website, the podcasts, and streams will come to an end on June 2nd, he wrote. Waypoint's official Twitter account confirmed the information soon after. Waypoint should have ended a long time ago, Klepp continued. We've always been an extremely weird website. Our podcast sign off is, uh, quote, fuck capitalism, go home, after all. But
Bars.
we survived 6 long years. That's a goddamn eternity in media. We tried to hold on as long as we could. Waypoint Plus was a godsend to all the fans of Waypoint that showed up on day one. Know that your contributions in spirit and money were a huge reason we weren't laid off sooner. You, alongside my talented colleagues over the years, made waking up every day a joy. The publication was launched by Vice in 2016 as an evolution of its Vice gaming section, and more recently launched premium subscription offering Waypoint Plus. Multiple editorial staff were laid off at Vice late last year. This follows a number of layoffs and closures in games media, including the Washington Post shutting down its gaming section, Launcher and GameSpot, and Giant Bomb affected by layoffs in January. It's just a continuing trend, Tavin.
It is a continuing trend. Now, the difference here is that it's games media, which we've covered several games media layoffs that have happened recently. It's just kind of affecting everyone everywhere. But games media continues to be just a volatile profession, and it sucks to hear that these people have lost their jobs. I'm not familiar with Waypoint. I'm not familiar with the gaming editorial section of Vice, but that's a badass podcast sign off. Fuck capitalism and go home. I like that shit. So
ironic, considering you're talking about video games, which are capitalism all through and through. Unless there's a state-owned
parts.
Well, what state-owned video game company exists, or any non-private entity?
Good point.
Seems kind of a side point, but
I mean, there's publicly owned.
They're like NPR, but none of them really no video game news. Well,
I mean, yes, yeah, video games media, sites are all capitalistic journals, corporations and so forth. But like game devs, it's public owned game devs and publishers.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, but yeah, I mean, we live in that world, but it does suck.
Yeah.
So
now, one thing I'm not familiar with this either, like you. But one thing I am somewhat familiar with is Vice, who simultaneously make dog shit, stupid articles that are written by people that probably shouldn't be writing things. But it's also combined with some of the best journalism in the industry right now. Vice has consistently done some amazing stories. If you look at some of the catalog of their past stories, they infiltrated arms dealers once before and showed how they worked out. So, there's a lot of value at Vice and Waypoint. And no doubt is the same exact thing. Tons of good stuff that this group did. Patrick Klepek, I'm familiar with. He's a great journalist.
We've read many of his stories on this show.
Yes, and I saw his tweet. It was sad because he was presenting himself like, hey, if someone's looking for someone to as a writer because he wants to continue as a journalist, I'm always available to contact, which is always the thing to focus on, regardless of the other things around it, which is people are just all of a sudden losing a job. It's understandable if the site wasn't doing so well. Sometimes these cuts have to be made, but it's not exactly doesn't make it good. It just makes it an unfortunate reality.
Yeah, and I mean the video games as a whole is a volatile industry, as is media. Exponentially more so. It's just impossible to, or it's not impossible, but it's very, very difficult to have true job security in games media. So it's unfortunate that 100 people have lost their jobs here. In a publication that when it went down, my Twitter feed went crazy with a bunch of people saying, "Oh man, really? Waypoint? They were dope or whatever." I personally was not familiar with their work, but it sounds like this is one of those ones that they're going to be lost, and it sucks to continuously see media get boiled down to a couple of companies, a couple of brand names. You know, like you can probably count them on two hands now, where it's like, you know, your GameSpot, IGN, Kotaku, or your what, like nobody, right? Like that's, you know, it's just those big guys. It's those big yeah, but Destructoid's big too. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like so, and it feels like it's only a matter of time before, you know, we lose those middle ranged ones as well. So sucks, but you know, hopefully it means that, you know, we have, you know, more people willing to create new things or venture out on their own, go, I don't know, a Patreon route or something, and build it out. But you know, it's all difficult, especially when, you know, but you know, building a name for yourself and building a personal brand that is security in some way or another it's just really difficult to do in this side of the media. And it's crazy because, like, you know, you look at the games industry as a whole. You know, there were reports this last week of like PlayStation is breaking records with their hardware sales left and right. And all of that is great for PlayStation studios and dev teams around the world. But that doesn't translate to games media side. You know, you and I, Connor, we talk all the time about how gaming is bigger than it's ever been. You know, it's the biggest medium of entertainment out there. And yet we have this entire cornerstone of the industry that is still suffering and is still finding difficulty, you know, providing security and providing ways to give to find audiences that are willing to pay for their services. So it's a tricky little corner to be in.
Yeah, from my time in studying journalism in college, that has always been one of the harder bits of games of journalism in general is funding. It's why it's very easy to have, you know, state-sponsored, state-funded media organizations, because that's a good supply of money that you're never really going to have to worry about. And really, all the prime function at that point is just delivering good, important stories that people need to know. And it's just hard to stay alive in this day and age in the world of media. And these jobs, seeing as they've been going out the window, you know, from a variety of different outlets, it's no surprise. Not a surprise. It's an unfortunate one.
Very much so.